Hello, and welcome to Tea Time with Alex and Summer. Not really. It's currently day 13, and we did 10 miles today, and we did 10 miles yesterday. We've been on our road walk for the past 2 days, and there'll be a whole video out about the road walk and what's going on. But we took a Nero and then a Zero before the road walk. And we didn't really do much. There's a lot on our Instagram about what we were up to, but nothing that warranted a full vlog.
There's a Q&A on our Instagram. Yeah. We did that on our 0 day.
Yeah, so check that out. You should check that out. It's saved on our Instagram highlights if you're watching this like after we finished our hike already. But yeah, so we didn't really vlog, and we took the time to rest and get excited for our last stretch. Today's already been fun. We had 100 miles today.
Yeah.
On the road. So that's what we've been up to. But we wanted to still record something outside of our road walk vlog to talk about a topic that, if you follow our Instagram or look at the description, you might have noticed kind of comes up a bit, and that is Indigenous land acknowledgments and the role in acknowledging Indigenous communities plays in hiking and long distance hiking. So a really big part of our hike is to work to diversify the outdoors in whatever way that's defined really by the individual, and also acknowledge the systemic barriers to getting outside and redefining what an outdoorsy person looks like. But a really big part of even beginning to do that work is acknowledging the history of a lot of the trails and the land that outdoor recreation takes place on. So that's another piece of just what we're trying to do here with our vlogs and with our platform.
Yeah, so the main way we're doing that through our platform is doing Indigenous land acknowledgments. So as you've seen on our Instagram and our YouTube videos in the description, as Alex said, we have a little pin emoji and then are saying like this part of the Florida Trail is on Ticumua and Seminole people's lands, so kind of identifying and acknowledging that those are the people that this land was stolen from, and these are the people that were originally inhabitants of the land. And then another important part of that is just that the Florida Trail is not only those two Indigenous peoples. So there's like maps that you can look at, and it shows all of the tribes and peoples that once were on this land, the original inhabitants of the land. And so that's why it's important for us to state like just this section is on this land, you know? So doing a land acknowledgement is just really important because it acknowledges the history of the land and that this land was stolen, and there are original inhabitants of this land that should be acknowledged for being there and having to walk on this land and be a part of this land. It's important to be aware of the history and aware of where you are when you're doing outdoor activities.
Yeah, and none of the trail or like the outdoors part of Florida that we love to be in and that so many people appreciate would even exist or be the same or be what we know without Indigenous communities. So it's important to just acknowledge that.
And there's also like actually no acknowledgement that we've seen on the trail of Indigenous people. So like that's another important part, is that a lot of this is like you have to do it yourself, sadly. So that's another important.
And if you want to begin doing more of this work yourself, we personally just use Google a lot. We looked at a lot of archives, specifically on the Seminole tribe's website. They have a lot of historical archives. But also the app Native Lands. You can use this wherever you go. I just keep it downloaded on my phone, and it shows you which Indigenous groups' land you're on around the world, so you can consistently be more aware of whose land you're on. But also just doing your own research before you go out on the trail. We like to think of doing like research as part of a requirement to be able, or not to be able, but like to fully enjoy and to fully appreciate being outdoors. It's budgeted into our time when we're planning for trips like this, and it's just like a part of being someone who does outdoorsy things. But we also want to acknowledge that just acknowledgement of whose land we're on is not nearly enough. So another thing that we're doing, and we're really fortunate to have the means to do this, is paying rent, and we're doing that in the way of donating to a nonprofit affiliated with the Seminole tribe, to just kind of pay it forward financially and recognize that there are systemic financial burdens that have been placed on Indigenous communities, and it is part of our job and legacy as people appreciating this land to help uplift those communities financially as much as we can with the position that we're in. So it's another part, not just acknowledgement, but paying. We are also directly paying a Instagram account that we learned a lot from. I cannot plug this Instagram account enough. The handle is Indigenous Woman Hikes, and we'll put it in the description. But all of her features and some of the things that she puts on her Instagram have really taught us a lot, so we're paying her for her labor that we've benefited directly off of as well. So acknowledgement, and then if you have the means to payment, we recognize that for a lot of people that it could be a privilege to be able to have the money to do that. But again, it's kind of for us becoming, our goal is that is budgeted into going outside. Like it should be in your budget for gear, just like, a new piece of equipment would be. It should be prioritized in that way as well.
Yeah. And we also think it's important to acknowledge that like this is a small part of, diversifying the outdoors and making Indigenous acknowledgement more broadly, like people more broadly aware of that when they're going in the outdoors. And so we are only doing a small part, and by no means are we fixing anything or really coming up with solution. It's just rather that we are trying to make awareness and create space for more people to be doing this and for it to become a habit and something that everyone is very purposeful with and aware about. Yeah, for sure. We're just two individuals. We're not going to change the whole system. And lastly, we just want to really recognize how grateful we are to be able to do something like this, and recognizing our privilege and being able to do this, as well as, really like giving the time to acknowledge the land that we're on, and how grateful we are to be able to walk on this adventure and see Florida in this way. We know that it's a privilege, like I said, but I just want to express how grateful I think both of us are to the Indigenous communities, to literally everyone who's made this possible. So we want to take the time to verbally say all of these things. And just take the time to educate and to give the little bits of knowledge that we know to other people that may not know them. And we're also going to drop a bunch of resources in the description. So there's so many more people that say this so much better than we do and know so much more. So
that's
we will
definitely really good point. Neither of us are Indigenous scholars or anything close. So we will link the primary sources.
Or Indigenous people that are passionate about this issue. So I think that is a great source to go to as well, to learn more about all the other ways you can help Indigenous communities and help awareness about diversifying the outdoors, specifically for Indigenous peoples, and making it more aware about stolen lands and where we're walking. Yeah. Great. And really at the end of the day, all of this is in pursuit, everything that we do is in pursuit of environmental justice and uplifting all communities in relationship to the environment. And we'll talk more about what environmental justice means specifically in a future upcoming video. But again, we really just wanted to explicitly say that. We know this is not our usual content of us walking and being weird on the trail, but it's just as important as those videos. Absolutely. The end of tea time. Tea time. Cheers. Cheers.